Thank you, guys. I'll hopefully make it worth your while that you traveled all this way to be here today and spent your gas money to be here. So I want to really make sure that I can nail this today. Taking the reins. It's not time to pray. It's time to get up. It's not time to pray. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm teaching a new gospel theology or something like that, but bear with me. It's not time to pray. It's time to get up. Am I taking the reins for my life? The story we're going to look at this morning is going to speak to two groups of people. And the first one is religious people. Now, these people tend to hide behind prayers and mark their irresponsibility with prayer. More specifically, when somebody points out our irresponsibility, we say things like, I'm praying about that at the moment, but that, in all honesty, is all we do. It seems so holy when somebody says, hey, I think you have a problem, and you reply, yep, I'm praying about that. But actually, we don't. And the second group of people I want to talk to you about this morning is people with misguided compassion. Or perhaps you're a compassionate person, but you apply it incorrectly. When you see someone act irresponsible, instead of holding them accountable, you go, no, it's okay, because they have a reason to be that way. Oh, maybe you say that person had a tough start in their life. Or he's just a really different sort of personality sort of person. She's kind of not smart as everyone else. Or maybe my husband didn't come from a good home. You facilitate or enable irresponsibility. Let's look at a story in Joshua chapter 7. Here, Joshua is leading the Israelites into the promised land. And at this particular time, they've just defeated Jericho. The walls came down, they went around 7 times, and it was a mighty, mighty victory. And then God wanted them to take the city of Ai. And while they were there in Jericho, God said, you are not to take anything from the city. Leave all the spoils. Don't take a thing. Now imagine going into that city and God has just said that there's something really, really expensive in that city. You really, really want it. And God has said, just leave it there. But for a guy named Achan, that was near impossible. He couldn't help himself. He took the gold and the silver and he hid it under his tent. But Joshua was unaware of what Achan had just done. In fact, his mind was totally thinking, we just smashed Jericho, now we're going to smash the town of Ai. Now let's look at Joshua chapter 7, verses 2 to 5. Now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Beth-aven to the east of Bethel, and told them, go up and spy out the region. So the men went up and spied out Ai. When they returned to Joshua, they said, not all the army will have to go up against Ai. Send 2,000 or 3,000 men to take, and do not weary the whole army, for only a few people live there. So about 3,000 went up, but when they were routed by the men of Ai, who killed about 36 of them, they chased the Israelites from the city gate as far as the stone quarries and struck them down on the slopes. At this, the hearts of the people melted in fear and became like water. They ran back to Joshua and said, hey man, we can't believe it. We just got smashed by this little town. There was nothing compared to Jericho, but how can this be? This was supposed to be a piece of cake. Joshua 6, verses 6 to 7. Joshua chapter 7, verses 6 to 7. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there till evening. The elders of Israel did the same and sprinkled dust on their heads. And Joshua said, alas, sovereign God, Why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side of the Jordan. Basically, he was saying, God, where were you, man? You told us to do this, yet you failed us. We stepped out for you. We listened to your word, and you promised that, but it all turned to custard. We should have stayed where we were. In verses 8 to 9, pardon your servant, Lord. What can I say? Now that Israel has been routed by its enemies, the Canaanites and the other people of the country will hear about this, and they will surround us and wipe our name from the earth. What then will you do for your own great name? God, isn't this an embarrassment for you? Isn't this embarrassing? Don't you feel embarrassed? What about your reputation? We, your people, whom we represent, the only people to worship the one true God that you ultimately want all the other nations to embrace. Isn't this embarrassing for you? Here's a key verse in Joshua chapter 7, verse 10. The Lord said to Joshua, stand up. Stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Joshua, what are you doing down on your face? And if I was thinking I was Joshua at the time, man, my answer would be, God, I'm blaming you for this what's happened today, but that's why I'm here down on my face. But God says to Joshua, stand up. This isn't the time to pray. God continues in Joshua 7, 11 to 12. Israel has sinned. They have violated my covenant, which I have commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have put them with their own possessions. That is why the Israelites cannot stand against the enemies. They turn their backs and run because they have been made liable to destruction. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy whatever among you is devoted to destruction. Go consecrate the people. Tell them consecrate themselves in preparation for tomorrow. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. There are devoted things among you, Israel. You cannot stand against your enemies until you remove them. Huh? I thought I just mentioned that Achan, just one person, took what he shouldn't have. But yet God says they have sinned. They have taken. They have did this. They have did that. The big thing about this story is we see that can happen to a community or a family or a business or a nation when someone acts irresponsibly. An example, just yesterday. My family went out yesterday, and my youngest daughter, my 5.5-year-old, conveniently forgot to have breakfast. And oh my mind went into overdrive. In my heart, I put on all these padded clothing in my heart to protect myself from the wrath of my 5-year-old that day. And if you know my little Judah, if she's full, she's all right. But if she's hungry, the Incredible Hulk comes out of her. Judah hungry. Judah smash. Judah don't care. And to be honest, yesterday, my life flashed before my eyes. And if you have kids, you know exactly what happens, or you know what what I've experienced. And you're probably thinking like me, Lord, take me today. I'm all yours. But in all seriousness, it caused undue stress upon me and my family. We quickly had to sort her out and detour in our trip yesterday. But back to Joshua chapter 7, the whole nation had lost a battle. 36 people had died, all because of one man's irresponsibility or disobedience. And he knew what he should have done. Everyone did. And when you know that what you shouldn't do, or what you shouldn't do, but you have done, you will tend to hide it. And that's exactly what he did. His whole desires affected the whole nation. And from a human perspective, you probably think to yourself, hey man, God, this isn't really fair. One man affects the whole nation. And for sure, smash the guy. That's not my problem. Smash the guy that did the wrong, but not the whole nation. That's not their fault. 36 people died. And why should it affect us all? But these are the facts. When one person is irresponsible, not only do they reap what they've sowed, everyone connected to them eventually reaps what they've sown too. You know, I'll never forget when I was overseas and I had a mate who was in the army. And when he was in the army, he shared a story about his squad or platoon, or I don't know, it was just his squad members. And whenever somebody was late, the person was made to stand and his team had to do a punishment. And usually his other team members would lie on the ground and do press-ups. Now, can you imagine the thoughts of his teammates who was doing press-ups, all because of one man's lateness to that team? And that that impacted me so much that I've never forgotten that, how it affects other people when lateness is costly for your other team members. And I bet you those guys who were doing the press-ups were giving them the evil eye, or they're probably giving them some sign language of what was to come later on. And you know, from our perspective, sure, that isn't fair, but it's a principle that's to be learned. If I'm connected to you, your irresponsibility eventually becomes my irresponsibility. And what you sow, I reap. Now, sowing irresponsibility is like being consistently late. And I've experienced this, and I've done this many times. When I'm part of the music team, and when people are late to the music team, it causes all sorts of stress to the team. You know, the band members are here, they're waiting, and they're hoping. Another boy waits, another boy hopes, and so on, for this person to come through those doors. And they're genuine reasons to them. But as they come through, it puts pressure on the team. And then sometimes there are songs that aren't learned and they don't really go so well. And so you guys are affected. And sometimes there are things in the sound desk that hasn't been tested and they're affected. And then the person comes up on the stage and on the mic and they're trying to get things back to really save things. And the whole thing sort of dominoes and affects, all because of one person's irresponsibility. And to be honest, I've done that. I've learned the hard lessons that, hey, all because I probably stayed up late. Maybe I played games. Maybe I decided to chat. Maybe I decided to go on social media. Maybe I just didn't really think about what my actions were going to cost my team the following morning. And that's why we see in society that kids are too young to even understand what they are doing, acting and behaving in a way that they shouldn't, because they are reaping irresponsible parents. A baby is addicted to pee because of their mother is a consumer. Maybe they've been mishandling finances or paying off family debt. Maybe parents have split and it affects their sons and daughters. It's irrelevant whether it is fair or not, because it affects people connected to the irresponsible. This is why we must become very intolerant of irresponsibility. But Rima, hey man, that's none of your business. My responsibility is none of your business. Well, yeah, you could be right at this point in time, but eventually down the track, your irresponsibility will become my responsibility. And some of us like confrontation, and some of us hate it. But the moral of the story is that there is no winner if we tolerate irresponsibility. The irresponsible person pays, and eventually everyone connected to them pays as well. But I'm a Christian, and I should always show love. Yes, you should. And we should also confront others as well. But Jesus, He's a God that always loves people. Yes, Jesus always loves people. But you see in the New Testament, He constantly confronted people, and especially the religious people. He confronted the religious leaders for binding and placing burdens on people rather than pointing them to freedom, which is Jesus Christ. And for example, Jesus challenged the hard hearts of the Pharisees who were so staunch about forbidding people to work on the Sabbath. Even though there was a man that was there, was just with a deformed hand, stood in front of the crowd, Jesus confronted the Pharisees saying in Mark chapter 3, on the Sabbath, should we do good deeds or should we do evil deeds? Should we save someone's life or destroy it? And if you know the story, Jesus heals him. Jesus confronts what was wrong in the religious people's hearts. Even the Apostle Paul, the mighty man of God, confronted Peter, a disciple and close man of Jesus. All because Peter wouldn't eat with the uncircumcised or Gentiles or the Jewish people. And the best thing you could do for an irresponsible person is to refuse to put up with it. It's pretty tough. And it's a massive challenge for us here this morning to confront someone's irresponsibility. It's for your family's sake. It's for your community's sake. It's for your business or your company's sake. It's for the church's sake. It's for the country's sake. And let's go back to Joshua. He quits praying. He gets up. And with God's leading, Joshua finds the gold and the silver under Achan's tent. They punish Achan, the man that was responsible, and they punish his family as well. They bury the loot in the valley and as an example to the rest of the nation. Once God's anger had subsided, they attacked and they defeated Ai. Finally, they had their victory. Pretty quick, I'm just going to sum it up. If I can have the keyboard player come up, that'd be fantastic. Are you hiding behind your prayers? I want to ask this question. Are you hiding behind your prayers? It's easy to say, yeah, I'm praying about that. It's easy to say, this addiction I have, I'm praying about that. Are you praying when you need to stand up or do something about it? How do I know if I need to pray or not? Basically, it's pretty easy. If God has addressed it in His Word, you don't have to pray about it. You just have to do it. If He says, forgive one another, does that mean I have to pray to ask God to forgive my fellow man or my fellow woman? He says to forgive. Do I need to give up my addiction or idols? It's pretty simple. It's pretty plain. Are you trying to pray your way out of something you have behaved your way into? It's time to stand up and act. If you are substituting prayer for taking responsibility for something you've done, then you're just an irresponsible person that prays. Go ahead and pray as much as you want, but you need to act as well. Faith without works is dead. And I really felt to share this part of my life. I just left Bible college, and straight after Bible college, I was walking, I went to like Reins, this is like an employment place, and asking for a job, and I even asked them, is there a place for a pastor in your data system? And they actually said, we don't have this your sort of line of work in our system. This is many years ago, like 20 years ago. And I was really, really stuck, and just finished Bible college, and I had these grand plans in my mind. Lord, I want to do this, I want to do this. I'm ready for you, I'm ready for you. And it got to rock bottom, kept coming here, and I was really down. And I know some of you guys here are really struggling for work as well, and I understand where you come from. And at that point in time, my life was really down, and the only thing I knew how to do was turn to God. And one of the things I did was listen and watch a tape by Dr. Derek Prince, or Derek Prince for those who know who he is. And on that was just a video, just simple, it was all about faith, because I needed faith at that time. And as I was watching that video, it came to me that I had some undealt issues in my heart. And in fact, he brought to my attention about owning up to a place or a dairy a shop that I stole from. And so a big conviction came on my heart. Okay, Lord, you said faith without works is dead. Okay, I'm going to go. And I'm really, really scared. And I go, what will people think? What if I get a criminal record? And all these things are going on in my mind. And I go, okay, put on my clothes and start walking down to the shop. And I really, really had to own up to my irresponsibility. And as I was walking towards the shop, a man pulled up next to me. He said, hey, Rima, what are you doing? I said, hey, he was a guy from this church, and hey, I'm actually going to confess that I just shared my whole story. He said, good on you, man. Hey, how about tomorrow you come around and he was a business owner. Just come into my office, and you still want a job? I said, yeah, I do. Awesome. Okay, see you later, toot toot. And he goes off. Oh man, I didn't really have nice words. It was cool that he offered me a job, but it wasn't cool that he had such an easy task of just saying goodbye, because I knew I had to follow on and confess to this person, to the shop owner, that I had stole from them. So I thought, oh man, you've got it easy. And so I kept walking on and through into the shop. Came to the shop owner and said, hello, my name's Rima. I just want to say that I stole from you, and I actually would like to pay for it. I'm very, very apologetic. And hopefully, I was hoping that she would just leave me there. But instead, she told me to come with her. I said, oh, here we go. So I'm really, really freaking out. Sat down. Okay, so what was the item? I explained it. And then she goes, now, why are you doing this? And that's when I broke down, because I was really scared. I spent a year in Bible college. I couldn't own up to my irresponsibility. And I wanted the best for because I knew it would impact my family, And then there's some people in there, like, how do you become a certain level in church? There's no such thing. I think there's a thing when you can empty yourself and go, hey, I've got nothing to lose. If you believe Jesus is Lord, then you've got nothing to lose. And I was really... I said, oh, okay, if you want to give me a criminal record, that's fine. But she didn't. was so grateful. And I felt really stoked. And then, and I encourage you guys, maybe you've done something wrong in your life. And you just need the courage to push through. Because it's worth it. I wouldn't be here today. Yeah, cheers, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break down as much, but I knew it was going to be tough. Oh, cheers. I think it gives me the authority and the command to say, if you've got stuff in your life, sort it out. Sort it out. You need to sort it out because God's got some massive plans for you. And it's a beautiful wife. I've got a beautiful wife, beautiful family, beautiful church family. I probably wouldn't be here. And I got a job at the end, which taught me some valuable lessons, what to do, what not to do, and so on and so on. It's just led me to be here. And when you go on in life and you empty yourself, God can do some incredible things if you just open yourself to God. I also remember this one time with my mates. It's just the last one. We did something really, really stupid in the car. It's quite dangerous. And I'm glad nothing happened to us. And honestly, we just didn't think it through. And an unwise person would say, hey, you're good. They were just teenagers. Yeah, don't worry about it. And eventually they'll learn their lesson. And all we needed was just someone to confront us in a loving way and say, hey guys, did you ever think what could have happened if you had hit someone? Or do you think what could have happened if you killed someone? Manslaughter or time in jail? A few seconds of stupidity for a few years in prison and regret? And what I'm getting at there is we need people just to say, hey man, confront people of their irresponsibility and confront them in their lives so that it saves people's lives and saves the pain and heartache they might endure. And we must, as Christians, deal with irresponsibility because it could cause death to your marriage, death to your relationship, death to someone's life. And I want to tell you that it's probably the most loving thing you could ever do for someone. Are you taking responsibility for your life? And maybe you're like Achan this morning, and perhaps your ungodly desires had taken the better of you. Instead of being responsible and owning up to your problems, you've actually hidden them, hoping no one else will see it. On the outside, you look around and you sound and look the part. But on the inside, the Holy Spirit wants you to own up to your mistake and let God know. I urge you to do it for your sake, for your relationship with God, for your family, for your neighbor, and for me. Stand up, cleanse your house. You've experienced defeat for so long. It's time to come to God. God wants you to live a life as He created you to live. And it all starts with you choosing to become less so that He becomes more. And today, just like Jesus, take the reins of responsibility. Confront the irresponsible in your heart and each other's lives. Because it'll, like Jesus, save you and others from a lot of unnecessary pain and possibly death. I believe, this is my last sentence, I believe as you get up, you will have the authority to confront the irresponsible in other people's lives. And I'm not talking about blasting people, but because you've experienced the freedom of Jesus, you'll be able to do that. I wonder if there's anyone in this house today that wants to get up.